What's up, guys? Aaron Bennett here. Quick video. I just want to go over this that came in yesterday. So this is Alex Mashinsky's lawyer trying to defend, essentially, Letitia James. She is the Attorney General of New York. Her attack of Alex. A few months ago now, Letitia James, the Attorney General, came out with a civil lawsuit. And this is the defendants, meaning Alex's memorandum of law in support of the motion to dismiss a complaint. So what this does is pick apart the entire argument that the Attorney General had that Alex did things that were wrong. I'm going to cover some of the funny parts in this statement and in this document, but first I want to touch on what ChatGPT says a defendant's memorandum of law actually means. So this is trying to get this entire lawsuit dismissed, and it's filed by the defendant's attorney in court. The memorandum is intended to provide a persuasive argument to the court in support of a motion to completely dismiss the plaintiff's complaint. So what Alex's attorney is doing is trying to get this dismissed, essentially get it dismissed before this can go to trial. The memorandum will typically cite relevant case law and legal precedents to support the defendant's argument. So that's exactly what they do in this document. So I just want to go over some of it, let you guys know what I think about it, and we will go from here. It starts out saying that the complaint by the Attorney General parrots misinformation about Mashinsky and Celsius and demonstrates a fundamental misunderstanding of Celsius's business and Mashinsky's role therein. So how could something be bad when, look, Celsius paid out more than $1 billion to its users? Well, we know that Celsius was not in profit for well over a year before they froze withdrawals. But here is what they say, which really sums up the vibe of this entire argument. They say there were circumstances outside of Alex's and Celsius's control that led to a liquidity squeeze that resulted in Celsius pausing withdrawals and filing for bankruptcy. So it was not anything that Celsius or Alex did. No. These were all things that were outside of their control. And they go on to say that instead of acknowledging that Celsius's eventual downfall was caused by a series of calamitous external events, the Attorney General pins all resulting losses on the alleged misstatements on Alex alone. So literally it's like, this was not my fault. This was not Celsius's fault. We did nothing wrong here. This is literally just outside circumstances that led to the freeze and ultimately the Chapter 11. So this document goes over why Alex did not commit securities fraud and things like failure to register as a securities dealer. They go into a lot of case law, which ChatGPT said they would. So they start out by talking about what happened externally. Again, none of this was Alex's or Celsius's fault. Terra Luna crashed, we all know this, and therefore there were massive withdrawals of assets from Celsius's platform, during which it lost over $672 million in assets over the course of several days. Now, I believe this is true. That's what happened. People were spooked out, and there was a massive run on Celsius, but because Celsius had over a $1 billion hole in their balance sheet, they could not satisfy people's desire to withdraw. And yeah, there were some things that were obviously illiquid. They used our money to buy all sorts of mining equipment and investing in different companies and all that. But ultimately, we know what happened at this point, but this lawyer is trying to get this thrown out of court using all of this case law, arguing against every single accusation that the Attorney General says. So they start by picking apart the fact that earn accounts are not indeed securities. Now, again, this is a very, very long document, but I'll go over some highlights. So they start out saying that the complaints by the Attorney General do not support a finding that earn accounts are securities under the statutory language or the Howey test. And this is pretty interesting right here, guys. So let me know what you think in the comments about this. It says earn account holders' fortunes were based on a predetermined rate and were not dependent on Celsius's revenue generation. All right, so they're basically saying that what earn account holders got paid had nothing to do with how much revenue Celsius generated, which we actually know this is true because Celsius was not generating enough revenue to pay people every single week. This has been proven. The Examiner report proved this, and this is not even up for debate. And they are actually saying this. They're saying that because earn account holders were not getting benefit from the growth of the company, therefore it's basically not a security. And more about the Howey test showing that people that had earn were not in a security. It says, based on the user's agreement to receive a predetermined interest rate, there was no expectation that they would share in Celsius's profits. Oh my gosh, reading this, I'm telling you, I mean, it is very late right now. It's like 3 a.m. I'm reading this and I'm like, I gotta make a video about this because, okay, guys, I'm sorry. We were definitely sharing in Celsius's profits. We were getting paid 80% of the revenue, right? All this nonsense. But they're literally saying that no, we were not getting paid, or earn people were not getting paid a percentage or a share in Celsius's profits, because if we were, that would be a security, because we would be expecting a return based upon other people's efforts. And also, I don't remember agreeing to receive a predetermined interest rate, so I'm not sure where they got that statement, but I don't know where that agreement was from to receive a predetermined interest rate. What we were told is that what we were paid were based upon the revenue that Celsius was generating. If Celsius could generate a lot more for a certain coin, then they'll pay more out. But it's always adjusting based upon how much revenue the Celsius is bringing in. But literally they said that that's not how it worked. Again, they said that earn account holders' fortunes, I don't know why they said fortunes, were based on a predetermined rate and were not dependent on Celsius's revenue generation. Oh my gosh. And they go on to say there was no user expectation that their yield would be tied to Celsius's profits or income. Yes, there was. Yes, there was. Finally, earn account users did not reasonably rely on others' efforts to generate profits. Of course we were. How else were we generating profits? We were relying on Celsius's ability to deploy assets in safe ways, doing things that banks were doing, but banks weren't paying us because they were greedy and selfish and they were just paying their shareholders. But no, Celsius was better than a bank, and they were going to pay their revenue that banks are generating back to us. You know, the customers. That was what we were told. So yes, earn users did reasonably rely on others' efforts to generate profits. Indeed, the users received the same guaranteed interest payment or rewards on their account, irrespective of the failure or success of Celsius's deployment of assets. Oh my gosh, reading this, it's like, what are they saying? I don't know where they're getting this. I don't know what this defense lawyer is on, but this is not the reality that any of us who are watching the AMAs or getting any information from Celsius was living in. This is a different reality. In the case of the earn accounts, the payment of interests, so the payments we were getting every single week, is also not tied to Celsius's managerial or entrepreneurial ability. Yeah, it is. Obviously, this is just my opinion, so, don't sue me, but I think it was. Earn account users acknowledged in their agreements that they were entering into a transaction through which they would receive a predetermined rate, that's not even true, of interest irrespective of the success of Celsius's business. What? Where was this agreement that said we were going to get a predetermined rate irrespective if Celsius was failing? That was completely not what we were being told. I am so confused. But anyway, this is what is going through the court. So I thought I'd let you guys know. They also pick apart some other arguments that the Attorney General had, saying that Alex was engaging to induce or promote the issuance, exchange, purchase, or other action of a security or commodity. So they, again, are picking everything apart using tons and tons of case law. So here's another good statement. It says that the alleged statements in which Mashinsky compared the safety of Celsius to that of a bank or securities broker-dealer are immaterial because they are opinion or mere puffery. Okay, so every time that Alex said things like Celsius is as safe as it is with a bank, or that Celsius has less risk than a bank, are nothing more than opinions that cannot be proved. Okay. So they are really picking this apart. You know what I mean? They are really trying to get this thrown out of court. But in doing so, I feel like they are incriminating themselves or incriminating what happened with Celsius even more in ways. So honestly, it's pretty remarkable to see this. Basically, everything that Alex said about Celsius being safer than a bank can't be proved. It was just puffery. Okay, then he lied every single week, right? So it's like, what do you want? Like, he either said it or he didn't. And it's like, there's nothing that's going to be done. Anyway, I'll let you know what I think about this at the end and what I think is going to happen. So now they're talking about Alex's statements the weeks leading up to the pause, right? So Alex was caught saying things like, anyone who wanted to withdraw partially or fully, there were no problems, right? He was saying all of this stuff. Anyone who wants to withdraw has no problem. And what the defense lawyer says is that these were not false statements, because as to that point, everybody who tried was able to withdraw their assets. So therefore, Alex wasn't lying. This was actually true. Mashinsky was not required to anticipate that there would be continued mass withdrawals or that those withdrawals would factor into Celsius's drastic decision to pause withdrawals, even though they forgot to mention that Alex, his wife, the other insiders, the other executives were taking out insane amounts of their own money. Basically, all of the money for a lot of these insiders, except some Cell token, they were taking it all out. Millions and millions of dollars, weeks or 1 to 2 to 3 months before they paused withdrawals. Do you think they knew what was going to happen? No, of course not. Alex was not required to anticipate that there would be mass withdrawals. Oh, but he just decided to take everything out months before. So here the defense lawyer says that there's no way that Celsius could be compared to a bank or a securities broker-dealer, and therefore these statements could not be materially false and misleading because banks and broker-dealers are regulated and insured, whereas Celsius was not. So they're doing this like multi-backflip gymnastics, mental gymnastic, high dive compilation of thoughts here, because even though the executives compared Celsius to a bank all the time, that can't be materially false and misleading. Why? Because clearly they're not a bank, and therefore it's not misleading. It's like, what? Like, what are you guys doing? They also pick apart some other arguments that the Attorney General had, saying that Alex was a securities salesperson. I'm not going to go into all this, but basically saying that no, there's no way that he can be considered a commodity salesperson. So they're going after every one of the Attorney General's complaints, right? And in conclusion, the court should grant Mashinsky's motion to dismiss in its entirety. So ultimately, Yankwit LLP, which is such a New York law firm name, they did their best job of trying to get this thrown out. Now, will this get thrown out? I don't know. Does that matter in the long run? No, it doesn't matter in the long run, guys. Ultimately, this lawsuit from the Attorney General was not a criminal lawsuit. This was civil. And I believe that she was just asking or demanding Alex to give money back to people who lived in New York, if I understand that correctly. So even if they did win this lawsuit, I don't think that it would really help everybody in some material way. So ultimately, who knows what's going to happen from this? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but I just wanted to pick this apart because, man, they said a lot of really funny stuff in here. But anyway, guys, if this gets thrown out, there will be more. There will be more civil. There will be more criminal. There will be a lot more lawsuits. Alex knows this. The other insiders know this. There's no way around it at this point, right? Like after Chapter 11 ends, so many lawsuits are going to be flooding all of the insiders' desks. Their lawyers will be busy for a very, very long time. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Till next time, talk with you soon, and bye for now.